9 October 2020, and today I've got another interesting topic that I want to talk about. And this is a very difficult topic to me because I've been handling this topic for a very, very long time. Since the beginning of this issue between Thokozani Kupe and Nelson Chamisa, I was one of the first people to deal with this issue. And unfortunately, Chamisa is continuing to be in trouble. He is failing to move from the position where he was in 2018. And in fact, the situation is getting worse. I've talked about the strategy weaknesses that are in the MDC alliance. The MDC alliance is very, very popular. People love the MDC alliance. People love Nelson Chamisa. But Chamisa is failing to get to a position where he puts Mnangagwa under pressure. So this is basically the problems that we have. Chamisa is failing to put Mnangagwa under pressure. In fact, he has to continuously react to what Mnangagwa does. And slowly we're moving towards the elections in 2023. And it is clear to everyone that Chamisa is not going to win these elections in 2023 if he continues on the same path that he has taken. And today there was a very interesting event. There was a funeral in Chitungwiza where the elect MP Anam Pofu there was a memorial service there. And for the first time, Job Sikhala spoke up about what is happening. And he said that the biggest problem that is happening in the MDC is popularity without strategy. So he said popularity itself will not make someone get into power. And this is what we've been saying. We've been saying this a lot. Chamisa is popular, but he's failing to translate that popularity into power. And the only way he can translate his popularity into power is if he changes his strategy. So I want to take you to what Sikhala said. I want to play that video for you very, very quickly. And I want you to contrast what Sikhala said and contrast with what Chamisa said. And you'll see what I mean. I will then take it from there. So let's play what Sikhala said during that funeral.
Mugabe was the most unpopular political leader in the history of mankind. And Morgan Tsvangirai, since the advent of politics, was the most popular political leader in the whole world. As President Tsvangirai, but he had the most popular political leader in the world. 2.6 million votes. Meaning, our president and the party are the most popular branch in the political matrix of the country. As that is in power. Mnangagwa cannot even be voted by a donkey. Donkey not Pachgaria. I voted Mnangagwa here. Ashari. Ashans Yangu Kupeo. Even dogs and reptiles don't want to see her. As are in power. So power is being controlled by the unpopular, while the popular ones are not in power. So what is the formula we should do to translate our popularity? If we are not going to find a strategy, SG, when they administrate, the research of Sangan. If we are not going to unpack that equation, Isu nemi nana President Chamisa tishashika pakufa tishingwa nempiri tisinakutonga. Let's think hard on how we are going to solve that equation.
Right. So you saw what Job Sikhala said, and it's very, very clear. Sikhala speaks from a position of love for the MDC. He's been arrested, he was in jail, And he's not the kind of person that you can say is just talking to cause problems. He wants solutions. The big problem that we have in the MDC is that they are failing to put Mnangagwa under pressure. So you must remember this. I've been saying this over and over again. Mnangagwa is not under pressure. Mnangagwa is sleeping peacefully. He does not feel a challenge from Chamisa. And let me show you how Chamisa responded to what Job Sikhala said. So let's quickly play this 1-minute video.
Hakuna anotambura zvakadai anotadza kubudirira. Mavanga atinawo ndombonje dzatinadzo ndomaronda atinawo anoreva rupawo rwevanhu vari kunopinda kwavanofana kuenda. Hauyu musanezeka neka. Akaganda kutaura kuti uyu mukomana uripoyo hakuna kwaanoenda. Hativhunduke zveshe. Tinosvika. Musavhunduka tinosvika. Takasiya tarakidzwa nyaya inatsangirai. Tinosvika. Vamwe vanotanga mukomana akazodai. Takagara taronga tsoroi. Tsangirai akati shamwari ona zvandaitwa nematsotsi. Bata chinhu hachiwiri pasi. Bata tochi mubanani. Vachakurwisa but usasiya tsvimbo.
Right. I think it's clear. If you were listening to Sikhala and were listening to Chamisa, you can see the big difference between the two men. Chamisa thinks the situation is going to change by itself. He does not want to change what he's doing now. He thinks that the MDC is popular. People love the MDC, and eventually Mnangagwa is going to live by himself because of the popularity that he's got. Job Sikhala says, Mnangagwa is in power, Kupe is in power, but they're not popular. Something needs to be done so that Chamisa, who is popular, gets into power. And this is the very, very big difference, which we have been discussing over the past 2 years. If you've been following me over the past 2 years, you will remember that I've talked about this issue over and over again. And we're moving now towards 2023. We started talking about this before 2018 elections. Chamisa has made very serious strategic mistakes. And the leadership team around him has allowed him to make those mistakes. They've not given him enough advice to avoid making those mistakes. And if you look at someone like Job Sikhala, the way he's speaking now, it's out of frustration. He wants things to move. But Chamisa has not seen this. He has not seen the need to make changes. So let's look at the weaknesses in Chamisa's strategy. And I want to go to the recent mistakes that Chamisa has made. So firstly, when Chamisa is confronted with an adverse situation, he often takes a long time to respond. So, for example, when Justice Mshore ruled that the MDC was supposed to have done a congress, at that time, Thokozani Kupe was not in the picture. So she joined that case, and she was not in the picture. Instead of responding to that judgment by seeing how he could comply and deal with the situation immediately, Chamisa decided to challenge that ruling in the Supreme Court, where he knew he was going to lose because he says the courts are not independent. So that was the first mistake. What Chamisa should have done was to work with the High Court. He should have agreed with that High Court. The Congress was already ready. All they needed to do was to change the date, invite Thokozani Kupe, beat her thoroughly at the Congress, and call the Congress an MDC, the MDC Congress, not the MDC Alliance Congress, and not challenge the court ruling in the Supreme Court or in the appeal court. They were not supposed to appeal that decision. So that was the first mistake. And Douglas Monzora was going to work with him, Komich was going to work with him, and the MDC was not going to split. So that was going to have been the solution. Then in December, when the Supreme Court delivered the ruling, Chamisa failed to act decisively. Instead, he decided to oppose the Supreme Court ruling. What he should have done was to accept the Supreme Court ruling and go to Congress. That was one option. Or if he did not agree with it, he could have said, I'm withdrawing all my MPs, Thokozani Kupe and your people that have accepted the Supreme Court ruling, go and do your Congress. I'm leaving the MDC. I'm popular. I've got all my people. He could have done that. But he didn't. Now, recently, when Kupe started to recall councillors and senators and MPs, Chamisa said, these are my MPs, and they're going to stay in parliament. So he opposed, he continued to oppose what was happening instead of reacting to what was happening in a way that was useful. So that was a third mistake. And now the final mistake that Chamisa has made was when Komichi announced that they were going to be using the name MDC Alliance. He decided to oppose and say that if there's no MDC Alliance, his MDC Alliance, then there will be no elections, which obviously, you know, it is going to bring violence from ZANU-PF. It's going to bring confusion on the ballot during the by-elections. In fact, Chamisa should not even be accepting those by-elections. What he should be doing is to say, I'm not going to be part of by-elections that are not making sense. I won, my MPs won under MDC Alliance. They did not win under MDCT. I'm not part of this whole thing. But somehow they take half measures. They half accept and they half deny something. And now we have a situation where the by-elections have been postponed. Chamisa cannot go to the extraordinary Congress. Harvest House is in limbo. There are people sitting in Harvest House. It's not clear who is in charge. So Chamisa is now part of a squabble, whereas he's popular. He's popular enough that he could go and do his own thing and say, you guys who are unpopular, do your own thing here. Let's see how it's going to work. I am taking my people. Chamisa has got millions of supporters. There is no one in the MDC who's got as many supporters as Chamisa. But Chamisa is not using that huge popularity to his advantage. What Chamisa should do is to change course. And I believe that Job Sikhala is correct. And specifically, he is correct in saying that even if Chamisa was popular in 2023, he's not going to be the president, because ZANU-PF is doing a lot. They're not just sitting there. And Chamisa is unlikely to get the 2.1 official votes and 2.6 unofficial votes that he got, because the terrain has changed. There's division. The people that helped him to campaign, some of them have gone. And in the age of COVID, he is not going to be able to go to as many places that he went to in 2018. So he needs to change strategy. And I want to remind you of the 4 areas where I've continuously said Chamisa should make change. So let's go to the objective. Right now, Chamisa is fighting for MDC, to maintain the MDC name, to maintain the MDC alliance, to maintain the legacy of Morgan Tsvangirai. You heard Chamisa speaking. He's always talking about Tsvangirai. He's always talking about he was handed the MDC, but that is water under the bridge. He's always talking about 2.6 million votes. He's always talking about Kupe having 45,000 votes. However, his objective must change. We're in 2020 now. Chamisa's objective must be to win the 2023 elections. So he must declare that our objective is to win the 2023 elections with Chamisa as the president. Because if Chamisa wins in parliament, it's useless. If Chamisa wins the councils, it's useless. Even in Senate, it doesn't make sense. Chamisa needs to be the president for Zimbabwe to change. And this is what Chamisa's objective should be. What this means is he has to let go of everything else, which means the fights with Kupe, the fights to Mnangagwa, the challenging of the 2018 elections, all those things, they're in the past. He must say, okay, I draw the line and this is gone. We need to move on to the 2023 elections. So that's number one. Then the second major shift that Chamisa needs to make is on tactics. At the moment, Chamisa is hesitating. So if there's something that needs to be done, he does not act decisively. He's going to go one way and then he's going to consult. And when he gets the answer that he doesn't like, he's going to start consulting again. You remember Chamisa went all over the country asking the people what action he should take. And people said, you must take mass action. But he didn't take that mass action. Right now, people are saying Chamisa must form a political party. That is what everyone is saying. We have spoken to many, many people. People don't want Chamisa to be involved in squabbles with Thokozani Kube. They don't want Chamisa to be involved in squabbles with Ngonzora. So every time when there's a gathering, when there's going to talk about Ngonzora, it is going to talk about Ngonzora and Kube, this is not useful. It's not a good use of time. So these guys need to be moving away from that and move to a decisive way of thinking. And this means they need to leave the MDC name totally. And I've said it before, Chamisa needs to adopt a name like the Democratic Alliance. He needs to create a new broad-based coalition of the opposition. For example, I've mentioned this, Ngari Vume, very, very nice guy. Ngari Vume does not have any role to play in the MDC as we speak, but they're speaking the same language. Shingi Munyeza, he's busy talking about changing Mnangagwa is evil, all those kind of things, that the same thing that the MDC is saying. Why not gather all these popular people, Manyika, Nkosana Moyo, Maimjuru, all these people, gather them on your side. Create a new broad-based coalition of the opposition. It's 3 years' time now. I was working with Maimjuru back before the 2018 elections. And by 2017, this time, Maimjuru was already campaigning in South Africa, in Maswingo. She was everywhere on the ground. And at the moment, Chamisa is bogged down in fights over a name, which he's never going to get back. Because for a fact, Thokozani Kube is not going to get out of parliament. Ngonzora is not going to release his grip on MDC. And so Chamisa is wasting time as we speak on useless things, whereas people are going to follow him. If Chamisa right now says, I'm going to form my own party called Democratic Alliance or called Democratic Coalition, whatever, Zimbabweans are going to follow Chamisa wherever he's going to go. And he's going to be free of all this energy that he's using on working with, on fighting Kube and Ngonzora and Mnangagwa at the same time. Right, so that is the second change that Chamisa needs to make. The first one, as I said, the objective should be the 2023 elections. Then Chamisa should change his tactics. He should move away from the MDC name. Now let's go to the third big change that Chamisa needs to make. Chamisa needs to join Poland. I've said this over and over again. You're calling the South Africans, you're calling the AU, you're calling the EU, you're calling the American embassy, you're calling whoever can listen to you and say Mnangagwa is refusing to talk to me. You know what? Mnangagwa is not going to change because you already know who Mnangagwa is. You know how Mnangagwa thinks. The South Africans have failed to convince Mnangagwa to do anything. Right now, the border is closed. I think Chamisa needs this to sink in. Mnangagwa is not a guy that is going to push around and force him to do things. So there is Poland. What Chamisa needs to do, he needs to send his people to Poland, not himself. And I understand people have told me that Chamisa has been told that he's going to be poisoned if he goes to Poland and all that. Forget all those things. There's always a risk. If you want to be president, there's going to be a risk. Send your people to Poland and start making your points inside Poland. But he also needs to act decisively. And this is the next point that I want to go into. You cannot be in parliament, in councils, in Senate, and then refuse to be in Poland. So what I would do if I was Chamisa, the next big change that I would make is I would withdraw all my people from who are MPs, people who don't want to work with Thokozani Kupe. I would withdraw them. All of you, Tendai Biti, Job Sikhala, all these people who are in parliament, you don't need to be there. You're not there for the money. You're not making an impact. You're not making change. So why are you in parliament? Why are you in Senate? Why are you in councils? Does it make sense for you to complain that Mnangagwa is taking over MPs through Kupe and then to sit in the same parliament with Kupe and to sit in Senate with Chief Ndlovu and Kalipani Pugeni? People that you're saying are not supposed to be there. So Chamisa then needs to withdraw his people with immediate effect. Just make that announcement. Let the councils run using a commission. Let the government do everything. Don't be there making everything look odd because you don't understand what is going on. You're being recalled, but you're sticking in there. Focus on the 2023 elections. So if Chamisa makes those 4 changes, he's got a new political party. He's in Poland. He's starting to talk to Mnangagwa directly. He has removed himself from a toxic fight with Thokozani Kupe, and he's got his own new political party. He's starting to build. That is the strategy that is going to make Chamisa win in 2023. And I do not think Sikhala was wrong in what he said. And I think Sikhala spoke very, very clearly about what needs to be done. So I've said this before, it's not new. I feel so sad when I see MDC guys who think Chamisa is going to suddenly wake up and win under these current circumstances and just because he's popular. I think this is totally, totally wrong. I don't think this is the direction to go. And I think people like Job Sikhala are starting to wake up, and the time has come for Chamisa to realize that his popularity needs to be converted into a result. And in the moment we're lacking a result, we don't have a result. People want change, and people are looking to Chamisa to bring that change. And I can assure you, if there's an election in 2023, Thokozani Kupe, if she's the candidate, she's not going to win. If Monzora is a candidate, he's not going to win. They know this, so everyone knows it. There's no one who doesn't know the current situation. But you have to understand that what Sikhala is saying is correct. You cannot win these elections just by being popular. There has to be strategy. And for all of you who know strategy, strategy has an outcome. You can either be the lowest price, the highest quality. You can go into a niche. You can be the fastest to deliver. Those are the outcomes of a strategy. But your strengths have to match your chosen strategy. And at the moment, Chamisa has the strength of popularity, but he has not chosen the right strategies. He doesn't know where he fits currently and where he needs to go to win the 2023 elections. And it's just a short time. 2021, 2022, that's 2 years of building. And in 2023, Chamisa would be winning already. So I think I've talked enough. I'm on 24 minutes now, and I normally want to talk for 20 minutes. There's a lot of comments here, guys, and unfortunately, I don't have a producer here, so I can't talk and read your comments at the same time. And I want you to look at this comment here. Joseph, you're my favorite person. I read your comments almost daily, man. So he says, he will never win anything without the rule of law. Hence, they're not taking any action. They are on the losing side. Right. Joseph, I want to to tell you something called a turn around, right? Or jiu-jitsu. When you do jiu-jitsu, you use the power of your opponent against himself. So you can't say my opponent is too big and I can't win against him. Chamisa has to change something. And this complaining of the environment, I don't agree with you. I don't agree that the Zimbabwe environment is any different from any other environment. Let me tell you about the elections here in South Africa. There is a place called KZN. People die, like candidates, they die. You must just go to Google. When there's an election, candidates get shot, mayors, councillors, MP candidates, including very, very popular people. There is no place where an election is clean and they just hand you power. You have to make some changes. So you must understand the environment where you're working and win. Then I want to go to Eddie Malaba. If Chamisa continues this way, he will die before he sees the high office. Right? I don't know about the crazy man, but I think you are right. We agree. Chamisa needs to make changes. And then I want to go here, Jimmy Jimalo. You can blame Chamisa for 100 years. The real issue here is that it is using force to change the will of the people. No strategy can work against him, against the gun. Sikhala has always been a suspect. I don't agree with you, Jimmy. I already told you. If Chamisa had reacted differently to the situations that arose, right now we'll be having a different outcome. If he had withdrawn his MPs immediately, it was going to force a mini by-election, a mini election. So I do not think Mnangagwa is someone that is totally a god and nothing he does can be opposed. I don't think so. I think Chamisa can react. So it's like when you're in a boxing match and you just stand there and the guy is beating you up. That's what Chamisa is doing right now. He's allowing himself to be beaten up without responding. And then I want to end with Zivanai Mindo. I don't think Chamisa was supposed to accept the Supreme Court ruling. If he goes to Congress and go to Congress, can this see Chimchakarongwa each? Of course, Chimchakarongwa. But as I said to you, if Chamisa had withdrawn all his MPs, senators, councillors, there was going to be a mini by-election, which he was going to win with a new political party. The problem is not what is happening. The problem is how Chamisa is responding to what is happening. For example, why fight with Kupe to use the name MTC Alliance? Form your own political party, register your own political party, start campaigning, withdraw all your MPs, make it difficult for these guys, make them sweat for what they're getting. At the moment, they are getting everything on a plate because they know that Chamisa is going to rush to court, and when he rushes to court, he's going to lose. Right, so I think I've done enough here. I've talked enough. And to the guys who are saying I'm ZANU PF, I want you guys to understand. I joined the MDC at inception. So when I was a student at NAST, I used to run a magazine called the NAST Observer. So most of the young guys who are here, when you were still in primary school, I was running one of the only newspapers that belonged to students. So my understanding of democracy is deeper, and it's not based on a person. It's based on principles and values. And I'm not even concerned if you say I'm working for ZANU, because what is ZANU anyway? It's just a name. If you really think about it, Mnangagwa was being chased by Mugabe and he ran away, and then he chased Mugabe out of power. So what is ZANU? ZANU is just a group of people, just like the people in MDC who are fighting. We need Zimbabwe to work. So we need solutions. And if you just keep saying, this person is ZANU, this person is MDC, you are achieving nothing. You need to think. And when you think, you need to question information. When someone is talking, you need to think about what that person is saying, because your future depends on it. And the young people that we have today, most of them are not thinking widely, and they're not thinking deeply enough about things. So this is where I want to end this today. It's been a very interesting discussion, and I hope you guys enjoyed this. To everyone who's watching on YouTube and Facebook, thank you very much for watching. And please, as I said, like and follow, subscribe on our YouTube channel, Gambakwe, and also on our Facebook page, Gambakwe Media. We need to bring our numbers up. Thank you very much for watching, and good night. If you want to join future broadcasts, WhatsApp me on this number, the number I'm going to put on the screen now. You need to phone me in advance so that we can vet the kind of people that we bring on the platform. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll be back tomorrow. Good night, and put comments, as much comments as you can. Thank you very much.